Thanks for joining me on Making a Murder, my journal, and this is going to be the same series of evidence, only this is part 2. So part 1 was on the bones, and this is part 2, the RAV. I'm not going to discuss today about any of the DNA or blood that was found into the RAV. I just want to stick to the topic of the vehicle itself. I'm not saying we won't address that because that could be our next part, but I want to go ahead and get right into this. So this is the only known picture with Teresa Halbach and her vehicle, and you can see it's in very good condition, and that matches what the insurance statements have made, that it's in great condition at the time. So when she first became missing, the media was flooded with endangered missing posters such as this. And you can see that the original poster for Teresa also included her vehicle down here. And it was Teresa was driving dark green 1999 Toyota RAV4, and it's got the Sam William Henry license plate number with it. And they have a little black and white picture there. I'm sure that this was something that they did before they found the vehicle, and then they switched back. But what is more interesting than that is that that vehicle had been seen by everybody that had got gas or purchased anything from any of the gas stations. And so they were quite aware in the area that there was a girl missing and what her vehicle did look like. And we have some witness accounts of that. So across the street from 3405 Main Street Highway 147, Jill Rain saw a suspicious car on November 1st, 2005. So that tells us we have somebody that saw this. And she even says this is near the Ridge Road and the turnaround by the East Twin River in Mishka. And there's a little map here, and it shows you the pinpoint of where she thought she saw it. Now, in Rain's statement, she did report this to the Calumet County. It's in the Casio log on page 79, but there was no follow-up made by the investigation, of course. They're looking for a vehicle, but there was no follow-up made. You can see her name up here, Miss Rain, with her information, and then you can look over right about in the middle of the page. It's 110105 north of 147. So she did state that this suspicious car on 11105. So she reported it. No investigation was done. So on the first, we have one witness, and that's Miss Rain. Now, what's interesting is, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I want to make a note right now. An AudioVox cell phone was found near the river in Mishkat, close to the sighting of Teresa Halbach's RAV4 in a turnaround on Highway 147. Same map. And now we know that a phone was found somewhere in that area. So then the second goes by. We don't have a report on that. But we do have a report that was made on the 4th. So this witness's name is Kevin Ramlow, and he said he saw Teresa's RAV4 parked in the turnaround by East Twin River on November 3rd and 4th, 2005. This is the same area on Highway 147 where Jill Rain saw the suspicious car on November 1st. 2 eyewitnesses, 3 days of someone witnessing this RAV. But what's interesting is how Ramlow reports, while I was in the Senex station at Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, officer came into the station. I immediately told the officer that I had seen the car that matched the description of the car on Teresa Halbach's missing person poster at the turnaround by the dam. Yeah, let's stop there. We just saw that same poster with the car. So let's go on to read. In December 2016, I was watching Making a Murderer. In the series, I recognized the officers who I had talked to at the Senex station on November 4th, 2005. A photograph of this officer is attached as Exhibit B to this affidavit. Having watched Making a Murderer, I now know that his name was Andy Colburn. So yeah, he gave a statement here. I think it's interesting because he even talks about while he was there, I saw and read a missing person poster for Teresa Halbach. I remember that the poster had a picture of Teresa Halbach and written descriptions of Teresa Halbach and the car she was driving. I recognized the poster attached as Exhibit A to this affidavit as a copy of the one I saw at the Senex station, November 4th, 2005. So he goes on to say, I recognize that the written description of the vehicle on the poster matched the car I saw at the turnaround by the dam. So this is our second witness. And now we know we have a witness for the first, we have a witness for the third and the fourth. 2 witnesses, 3 days, all by the Mishkat turnaround there on Highway 147 or turnabout. So then it goes on to say that in 2016, Ramlo went ahead and he even, I'm not reading this, I'm just telling you, Ramlo actually texted to Scott Taddick because he knew him through his brother about this. And he says that Scott, well, let's see what Scott Taddick said. So he tells him the story, and then he says, I'm guessing now November 3rd was the day he called the plates in. That's what Remlo was saying in the text after saying that, he tried to report it. And he asked Taddick, give me a call. But Taddick says, okay, I will. I'm really sick now. So, he didn't follow up on it. Mr. Taddick's failure to respond to Kevin Ramlow's text about seeing the RAV-4 at the turnaround by the old dam in November 2005 before the discovery of Halbach vehicle on Avery Road is also suspicious. Indeed. Talking about suspicion, Mr. Colburn, he makes a call in. He reads the license plate one at least or 2 days prior. I'm thinking on the 4th. Now, he wasn't scheduled to work on the 4th. He would not have been in his squad car at that time for any known reason. He would have had his cell phone on him. And it's interesting because when he makes that call, you hear, I believe it's the dispatcher, she's referring to Spanish. I find that very interesting. It's almost like he called in on the Spanish-speaking line. And if he did that, that was even more of a reason to suspect that he's hiding something. But the fact that his eyebrows reached so high during court, you could just see his body language was absolutely fear. Now, this is a picture above. It's a turnaround of East Twin River. What's interesting is this is 590 yards east of Scott Taddich's trailer, where Kevin Ramlo saw Teresa's RAV-4 on November 3rd and 4th. And that's not that far away from a trailer. Now, the license plates were found on the 8th. But I have a theory to this, but I'm not going to get too deep into it. But I will say that the fact that they were folded twice, so that they were folded in twice, was to conceal it and to make it small, like almost pocket size, as if to carry it somewhere without being seen. Furthermore, were they pulled off that car so that somebody couldn't turn around and say, "Well, I couldn't have called it in because there were no plates." See, I couldn't have been reading the plates because the plates weren't on the vehicle. I'm not sure. But it's interesting that the plates were found on the 8th. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's stick to the RAV first. On the aerial of RAV-4 on Cuss Road, is that possible? Well, here in Exhibit 91, the aerial shows a bluish vehicle in the cul-de-sac on Cuss Road. And it's accompanied by a white vehicle. Now, if you look at this top right picture, you can see where we've used one as an illustration, show how if the door is open, which would fit the dead battery theory, that would create possibly this darkness on the picture. And this up here, it shows that that's very dark. The spare tire, it's a black cover. So is that what's creating that? If it's important enough to put it in as Exhibit 91 and you're doing a flyover looking for a vehicle, why are you not making note of this in a report? So now we're going to get on to a third witness. Avery's neighbor saw a green-blue RAV-4 accompanied by a white Jeep just days before Pam Strum found it in the salvage yard. White Jeep. Interesting. Avery's neighbor on Jambo Creek Road, William, I hope I'm saying it right, Seibert, said he saw a vehicle matching the color, style, and size of Teresa Halbach's Toyota RAV-4 driving into the back of Avery's salvage. I'm going to stop right there and rewind. Of Avery's auto salvage via Quarry Roads days before Pam Strum found it abandoned in the salvage yard on November 5th. Seibert saw an old older model white Jeep with paint chipping off the hood, closely following the RAV-4 down the access road into the gravel pits. A short time after seeing the two vehicles enter the gravel pits, he saw the white Jeep exit the gravel pit, again using the same access roads just south of his house on Jambo Creek Road. Interesting. I don't know if this is fact or not, but I found this and I thought I'd share it with you. This could be fiction, could be a hoax, but I found it interesting that Google Maps captured an image in September 2009 of a 1999 Isuzu Rodeo in Andy Colburn's driveway. Who knows? Not saying it is, just saying that that's interesting. Somebody brought that up. So this is a report at the top here. Around 8 o'clock a.m. on Thursday, 11/3. So on the same day as the first time that Remlo would have saw it on the 3rd, this gentleman also saw it. And he reports it's Thursday the 3rd, Robert Fabian. Now, it's interesting because this is Earl Avery's brother-in-law. Robert Fabian states he did observe a green Jeep backed all the way up to the parking area on South 147 by the river. Robert describes this area as a turnaround. Robert recalls seeing this Jeep, at 8 a.m. because he had seen a male subject talking on TV about the green Jeep being in the area. Well, that male would have been, we're just going to call him Irving K because I cannot say that last name, would have been the male subject Fabian had seen on TV. Mr. K was interviewed by a local television station, and he stated that on the morning of November 3rd, 2005, he saw Teresa's RAV-4 in the turnaround on Highway 147 east of I-43. So now we've got rain on the 1st, and on the 3rd and the 4th, we have Ramlo, and then we also have Mr. K on the 3rd, and also on the 3rd, we have Mr. Fabian. So, on Mr. K, he actually makes a police report, and he claims, let's see what he says here. It's a report about him was on one of the television stations indicating he had seen Teresa's unit vehicle in the turnaround. So, we have 4 people that have reported it at this point. Now, is there anything to corroborate what they're saying? Because if we can actually show some more substantial evidence that their theory would be that the RAV could not have been on the Avery property before the 4th, then, if we're following the pattern of the eyewitnesses. So if you look at this picture up here, this is November 5th. And let's go over here. You see the X where the RAV is. Okay, that's G. And then you see a whitish vehicle for F, reddish for E, a very white one for D. You see this C here. And then B is a double one, and it's actually parked end to end. And then A looks like a large white something. Now, the 4th, the flyover, you can clearly see D, but you can't see E, F, or G. And you don't necessarily actually see, so maybe it's just a disadvantage of view, but let's go ahead and look at another picture. Here's the 4th, right here. Whoops, sorry about that. Oh boy. Well, hold on a minute, we'll get there. There we go. Okay, there's the 4th. Oh no. It's exactly the same picture. A day later, you can see vehicles have been moved there. Now, I have to tell you something. This lady is so blessed. This is Pam Strom, and she is a private investigator that happens to be a cousin to Teresa Halbach. And Ryan Heligus, the ex-boyfriend who seems to be in charge of everything with the search party and that sort of thing, he has already stated in report that he was waiting over an hour for Pam to arrive. Now, she goes onto the Avery salvage yard and she talks to Earl. And she gets permission to hunt this property. Now, look at the size of this. We're talking 39 acres. I mean, and you're going to look for this? Now, keep in mind, they're very hopeful she's going to find it because they've given her, the police haven't given her a camera, but they had to wait to give the camera to Pam. And the camera was from her roommate, Scott Blodome. I can't even say his last name, Scott B. So he gave her the camera. And why is that important? We're going to talk about that. So let's look at this. You can see in this picture how large this place is. Now, up here, this large white building with the red numbers on it, this is the location of actually the office and such. And she's got to walk all the way down to this pond at the bottom. And she doesn't even look for any other signs of her relative. She admits she did not look in any of the vehicles. Now, would I be looking and listening for in the, she could be anywhere, any vehicle. And you can see from this picture, it's a substantial walk. And where do you start? 15 minutes, she found it. She found the RAV. So let's look up here. She went all the way from the big white building, that big rainbow curve right down behind this pond, and immediately found the RAV-4. Now, what's interesting is it's the only vehicle that has stuff piled all over it. So that alone calls it out. There's also a cardboard box in the evidence picture sitting on the hood. Is that saying, hey, it's the one with the cardboard box? I'm not sure. But it does seem to be like calling it out. But what's interesting is this flyover here does show the road to the hunting ground as well as the quarry road. And if you were looking at the RAV as if that was north in the picture, then you would see how easily the access would be to both of those. And so the RAV is found. It's completely covered in stuff. But this is interesting. This is a very dark picture. But at night, it would have been covered by a tarp because somewhere along midday, they covered it with a blue tarp. And we've got pictures of that. So why is it so dark out? If Pam found this vehicle at 10:30 in the morning, it was a nice, decent day. But look at this. No, this is a picture at night. And it's covered in the stuff. And then here's another picture. It appears to be at night. And then it's daytime. And then it's nighttime. And then it's daytime. So is it possible the reason Pam was given that specific camera is because possibly, and I'm just asking, if, let's see, where's the one with the gentleman? Do you see his legs and his shoe right on top of this other vehicle? Is this possible? This is when they found it and they used Scott B's camera. And this would have put them on to the Avery salvage lot in the middle of the night. And then they would give her the camera so that those cameras could be logged in. So let's get into some pictures here. In this picture, you can see there looks to be a mark. And I wasn't sure what that mark was, so I went ahead and I saved us some time and I blew it up. And look at that. It looks almost exactly like a bullet hole. It's missing paint around the edge. It's definitely interesting. But what's even more interesting is it's not in the state picture. And you know what? I put a little point here. You see that sticker that's on the back? It's a decal that's put on by, when you get the vehicle. It's on this RAV at the state lab, but there's no bullet hole. But then when you go to the other pictures, you have what looks to be a bullet hole or a hole and no sticker. So again, we have this gentleman standing up there, and it sure does look like it's getting early in the morning. And if Pam didn't find it till 10:30, then who is that and what time in the morning? Because this is daytime here. These are the morning. And this is the midday when they start putting the tarp on it. So it's interesting that I found out and doing here that John Dietering found out in 2017. He spoke to Angie Kay, who works at Colosso Toyota in Appleton, and he did verify with her that the VIN number of Teresa Halbach's car, okay, catch this very clearly, the VIN for Teresa RAV-4 indicated that it did in fact come with a keyless entry. That to me means so much when Pam is using the tissue to open it up and she can't because it's locked, but yet it arrives at the state crime lab unlocked on the driver's side. Interesting. So this is a gentleman that found the license plate, and he said the plate's brand saw had been folded twice inward. So it makes it very pocket size if you're trying to get it onto the lot and indeed throw it next to something. That way they can find it. It's interesting also right here. One sergeant, one of them, okay. One was Sergeant Bill Tyson of the Calumet County Sheriff's Office. Assigned to accompany him were Link and Colburn. Our responsibility was to find any remaining vehicles that did not have the trunk popped by the fire department, and if we located those vehicles, our responsibility was to open the trunk areas of all those vehicles, Tyson later testified. That Monday morning, the three men were extremely busy. Who were the three? Link, Colburn, and Tyson. Yes, we found numerous vehicles that were not taken care of, so we did use crowbars wherever necessary to get the trunk lids open, Tyson testified. Colburn testifies at Avery's trial that he thought he arrived between 6:30 and 7:30 a.m. on November 7th. All right, you guys, right here, we've got the bullet with Link and Colburn. Found. Key, Link and Colburn. Now the license plate, Link and Colburn. Yep. Now, on the way, this is the lady, I like to call her the big-haired lady, at the state crime lab. Okay, the interesting fact is that the vehicle was supposedly removed along with Steve Avery's Grand Am. And both these vehicles, plus a flatbed truck, were removed at 8:30 p.m. and from Avery's salvage yard. Now, it's a 2.5-hour drive to our state crime lab in Madison. But it took 4 hours, didn't arrive till 1 o'clock in the morning. So where's the missing 1.5 hour? Well, it's getting over to this pretty lady here with the big hair. Where's that 1.5 hour when it's a police escort? I don't know. So here you can see it's at the crime lab, and there's something in that tire well. It is something wedged up in there. Some people are like, well, it's a hornet's nest. There's really no way to know what it is, but it almost looks like a Bondo job, like somebody's holding pieces together, and maybe they used Fix-A-Flat or Seal a slow leak can, because that was found. One of them was found under the seat. So it looks like it's like holding pieces together of the fender. And I find that interesting because there is so much damage to this vehicle. You've got what looks to be like it's dented on the other underside, possibly from a tow strap. You have a busted headlight. You also have a parking light that is completely out. And a lot of people say, well, this could have happened before. Let me explain something to you. If this happened before, this would be so dirty. And in there, all these connections would be filthy. Look at this actual brake. It dented right by that headlight, right there. It actually dented the vehicle. And you can see where it's cracked and very severely damaged. If you look at this, it says it was claimed that the blinker was busted months in advance of Teresa Halbach's disappearance. However, close scrutiny of the interior of the lamp, now exposed to the elements, are neat and clean, which absolutely excludes any possibility that Teresa had been driving around for thousands of miles in Wisconsin, autumn climate, without the reflector getting dirty. Plus, it had been raining, and it's muddy. I mean, look at the tires on this vehicle. Now, this is very, very interesting. Look at this crack in that bumper. And look at that red spot. What is that? So here are Carfax, and we'll go up here, and you can see it's the RAV-4 VIN number. So this is the actual RAV that we're talking about, and it is listed as 0760 Mystic Teal in this case, and it's a 4-door. It also states damage, no damage. Okay, so it's saying on her Carfax that the car is not damaged. And furthermore, we can go right in here and you can see that this is the same vehicle that we're all talking about. And it says no accident, damage reported to Carfax. So if she had indeed reported this to her insurance agency, it would have hit the Carfax. Now, it is possible that this was just happened in the last week, but then we have all the testimony of the people that were her customers that day saying no, including her boss, Pierce, saying no, there was no damage that they knew of, including family, to this vehicle. Now, the only one that says yes, worth mentioning, is Ryan Hilligus, who claims that, yeah, Teresa did have an accident, that she reported to an insurance company, and that she took the money and did not fix it. Now, if she took her car in for a windshield wiper and fixed it, and she's on the road with this vehicle, I highly doubt that she let that go when you see how much damage is on that car. She pays attention to detail. Now, here's the battery that's the hottest topic right now, and that's because we have learned that it is a high possibility or probability that we have traced this battery back to the original purchaser of the battery. That being said, that's because it's still under warranty, and those records supposedly are able to be traced. I cannot comment on that because I was not part of that research, but I find that interesting that the battery was out because of that cul-de-sac picture. Also, if that back door was open, there's a possibility. So here we have it at the State Crime Lab, and we've got a little special something for you. So this is when you're watching Making a Murderer, episode 6, in approximately 44 minutes, they do a crime lab shoot, and you can see the black RAV-4 tire cover, and I see handprints. And there were supposedly, according to Buting, I believe it was Buting, said there were 8 prints that were unidentified that were no ones that they were going to talk about. Okay? There's some prints. And there you've got it. You've got the problem with the fix-a-flat. You've got the damage. Now somebody has changed a tire. We also have pieces of the part missing that you need to change a tire. So here it is. Avery's attorney Kathleen Zellner wrote in August 2006-2016 motion for post-conviction scientific testing that the lug wrench in Teresa's RAV-4 appeared to have been moved from its original place in the cargo area, and the storage compartment covers for the rear cargo area where the wrench would have been stored. Could that be these fingerprints? Somebody's changing a tire. And they've got blood in the back of the RAV, and it looks like somebody's striking. Yeah. So this is a very wonderful picture. I would like to explain to you, there is so much wrong with this picture. I'm going to let you think about it for a minute. I am not a professional. You are not a professional. But all of us are going to be able to say, what in the world is this about? Okay? Now, some of you from the old day, you're going to be like, oh, I forgot about this picture. Yeah, here you go. So nobody's debunked this yet or explained this at this point. That's why I'm bringing it up to you. So at first you see the RAV-4 in its containment box. And in the box you can see that the RAV has been dusted for prints. Now the question would be, they did not dust this top part. And that is because they're thinking most people would handle around the edges, obviously. But what I don't understand is what is the reflection in the front of the RAV? So look right here, you see the emblem. And above it, you see another little mark. And then you see all these lines. Do you see them? Clearly on the left side, you see the lines. And when you pull it back, it's a reflection of something. And it almost looks like a reflection of itself. Or is it a reflection of a different vehicle? Now, wouldn't it be interesting, just out of curiosity, what if it was a reflection of another RAV that was actually dark green? Who knows? We're not going to know. Even though it appears dark green here, she had a mystic teal. Yet it was dark green in her missing picture, and all her family said it was dark green. And then you see it compared to that. So there's a lot of people that say, okay, maybe it's not the same RAV. And then there's a lot of people say, oh, it's absolutely the same RAV. So let's indulge for a moment in that little bit of a theory. We're not going to take but just a minute on it. You can see here the top picture is of a RAV. It is a mystic blue, and it matches the one found as color-wise in that lighting at the Avery salvage yard. But on the left, you can see the same lighting of the dark jewel green pearl, and that matches the one she's photographed with. So you be the judge. Is it the lighting? So we put mystic teal in the middle, and then we put the dark green that we photographed from another vehicle on the back end, and then we've got Teresa's on the other side. And it does. It really has a different color in the middle, a blue. So we put the blues up here, and you've got indoors, outdoor, and outdoor day lighting of all the blues, and none of them seem to match the car. Interesting. Now, I want to get onto the phone real quick before we wrap this up. So Deputy Craig Windling of Calumet County was accompanied by Manitowoc County Sergeant Andy Colburn and Link, who collected the evidence tag number 8451, which was an AudioVox phone, silver in color, model, Starcam. It was found on the side of the road, the north ditch along the gravel line of South 147, just east of Ridge Road. The item was found by John J. Campion, owner of Chiller's Bar and Grill, who was searching with Pam Strum on November 6th, although she testified she couldn't recall what day. Yeah. Just boggling. Note on the bottom here, Windling noted that Colburn did all the photography for him, but he collected the phone and kept it in his possession. Why did Colburn do all the photography? That's a great question. Now, not only that, but they also, according to this report, found papers, business papers. Makes you wonder, who else found this RAV on the 4th and possibly found a day planner? Could it be Mr. Heligus? Well, this is very, very interesting that Campion found the phone just east of the Ridge Road on Highway 147 in the north ditch along the gravel line. This is near the sighting by Jill Rain of the suspicious vehicle across the street from 3405 Main Street, Highway 147 in Mishcot on November 1st, 2005. Did they check this phone? When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. Sherlock Holmes. You know, I don't think that they did find that RAV on Avery's property at daytime. Look at the photos. Why did they take Scott's camera? Were the guys there on the, it's painting a picture here. This vehicle appears to have been sitting, according to the eyewitnesses in the photographs, up until the 4th, it seems to be sitting on the turnaround at the Twin Rivers Bridge. Who all found it? Well, it was reported to Colburn. We've got Pam around the area. It's very interesting that then she's the one that found it on the Avery salvage yard. What happened to the phone? Why don't we know about the phone? What was the phone pertaining to? So I want to thank you for watching. I appreciate the time you take to help us get to the bottom of this, to free Stephen and Avery and Brendan Dassey, because if you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't sit the time. Thanks for watching. Sorry if I stutter a lot. It's just little old me doing this, and I'm just trying to share with you guys. So be patient with me and be kind. Have a great day. Hit the like button and please subscribe for future videos. Bye now.